Now, okay, good morning. This is Dr. David A. Paget. Today is November the 17th, 2021. This is World Regional Geography 1010, Section 3. And so today, the plan is for us to do two things. We're going to celebrate and commemorate GIS Day. And so this will be a special presentation on teaching GIS and project-based learning in a hybrid classroom environment. So this is essentially going to be a demonstration of the final exam project for my class, and we're going to do this live. So again, those are the two things that we're doing today. Again, today is GIS Day, so I'm appropriately decked out in my Nalia, otherwise known as paraphernalia. If I can't get it, I don't know if I can get it right. So all these other organizations have Nalia. We geographers have Nalia too. So I'm decked out. I would show you my globe socks, but I don't think I can lift my leg up that high anymore. Well, I can, but just not today. And so, so all of us as instructors, whether we're at K through 12 or at the collegiate level, have been navigating through this pandemic. How do we teach in this pandemic? At Tennessee State University, we went virtual on March 16th, 2020. We were virtual through the summer of this year. And then this fall, we came back live. And so there are a lot of questions. I know a lot of people had questions about that. Should we come back to a live classroom? Should we stay virtual? So on and so forth. I know that many of you at your institutions, and I'm the only one in here today, so I'm going to take this mask off. It's the first time I've taken a mask off all semester because I'll talk about that later. So well, it's a perfect segue. Going into the fall of this semester, the preferred delivery format for us was face-to-face because there was a sense that the students didn't like the virtual format, especially the first year students, especially the freshman students, really were expecting to have a very different college experience than what they had from fall 2020 into spring 2021. And so I guess the decision was made that we don't want to repeat that because the assumption was that students would go elsewhere. They would go elsewhere to where classes were being taught face-to-face. Now, the challenge for those of us who are teaching GIS was or is, how do we teach such a hands-on topic in a virtual environment? And some of us found out last year that the virtual environment for teaching GIS was extraordinarily difficult. I could go on about that. I'm not going to right now, but it was extraordinarily difficult. But then we came into this semester with a lot of unanswered questions. Okay, what happens if a student, what happens when a student tests positive? What do we do? The university had a set of protocols for dealing with that, but as individual instructors, how do we navigate that? And so my solution, I don't have all the answers, was to go into this hybrid format. So students have the option of attending or not, or in some cases, if a student tests positive for the COVID-19, or in the event that the student doesn't feel well. I told my students, look, if you have a runny nose, don't come here. But the hybrid option means that I don't have to cancel class for everybody. And I kind of saw that happening in some cases where one student would test positive and then the whole class is canceled because it was only in the live face-to-face format, not in hybrid. And I really didn't want to go virtual. I know some of my colleagues just came in the first couple of weeks and said, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm teaching virtually for the rest of the semester. I absolutely did not want to do that. I mean, so this hybrid format gives students the option of coming in person or not. And I'm the only one here today. I had one student that came regularly, and I noticed he's in the he's out there with you all. And so I get to take my mask off today. So in some way that's good. And this is fine. You know, students don't want to be here. That's fine. The challenge is, you know, how do we deliver a quality product and still, you know, maintain our standards and so on and so forth. It's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. But we have forged ahead. So today, I'm just going to show you a couple of things and then we'll get right into the lesson for today. First, just getting into the, just for those of you who are here, who are visiting. So we have several visitors, students. I can't, we have lots of visitors. FY, you might have noticed. And we might have more as the day goes on. Okay, and don't worry, students, you're gonna have your chance to do something. But for the rest of you who are new, this is the D2L, Desire to Learn, e-learn format that we have this semester. And so we have a we've had great support from our information technology team here at TSU. I mean, the technology, I had only one glitch that occurred about midway through the semester, and it was fixed immediately, like literally the next day. Other than that, we're working in this D2L system. So this is where the students come in. This is what they see. Actually, I can go to a student view, and so not that it's that much different than my view. And so here's the course. This is a World Regional Geography class. It's a lower division class. Intro level geography, and here are the various assignments listed here for the students. And so I direct the students to this calendar and say, you know, go there. Here are your reading assignments. Here are your lecture recordings and so on and so forth. So essentially what I've done this semester in terms of pivot is gone to a project-based learning format. And so you notice, you see lecture recording, lecture recording, lecture recording. Normally in class, we lecture, you know, we come in here, we talk. And then normally I would send students out to do these GIS projects as homework. But I thought, you know, in this hybrid / virtual environment, there might be some students who never come to class. I just couldn't see that working out well. So instead, I flipped to a project-based learning format where we actually work through the projects in class. And so that gives the students a lot more opportunity to get it right. The GIS has a very steep learning curve, as some of you all know. It's frustrating enough for those of us who do it all the time. Imagine being a freshman and you're faced with learning GIS in your first semester, and you don't see your instructor face to face. Very daunting task. Now, one of the other earlier adjustments I made to this class was to add assignments that include ArcGIS Online. I guess I'll go here, go to the Dropbox. And so this semester, we have, the students had to complete 5 GIS assignments. And so ArcGIS Online has literally been a godsend. It's free. Well, that's the main thing. It's free. It works on almost any platform, and we can actually do some work with it. I mean, it's not a canned program where you've got you know, a bunch of templates. We can go out and collect real data and pull it into ArcGIS Online and do real work. And so we started off with this modified exploring GIS using ArcGIS Online exercise, which just takes the students through a cartography lesson using ArcGIS Online. Some of you have probably used that. Next was the North America Hometown Geography Map, where students collectively built an attribute table with information about their hometown. And then we took all that information and put it on ArcGIS Online map as a class. So it gets the students to learn a little bit about each other. It's a collective assignment. They get to, you know, represent their hometowns on the map. So that's an early assignment. Then we did this outdoor data collection. And this is the one time we got into a little bit of difficulty. We went outside. Now what was interesting was I had more students show up to go outside that day than any other class, you know, so I guess they felt safe. And the only difficulty was trying to use Zoom at the same time I was trying to use various mobile apps. In this case, I was using the Globe Observer app and trying to use that at the same time as Zoom didn't work out. And I probably, you know, I'm going to figure that out for next semester, figure out how to go outside in this hybrid environment. We did it before and I just recorded, you know, I didn't do it live stream. I just recorded the outdoor experience, and then the students that couldn't come just played it back later. Might try that again, but I would rather have everybody attend live. The next assignment was the students collectively analyzed the urban population vulnerability to the coronavirus. Again, that was another really good assignment where the students collected variables related to vulnerability to coronavirus, including age of population, percent population over 65, percent population vaccinated in cities, and so on and so forth. So that was a really interesting assignment that they got to complete and timely. And then their last assignment was collecting climograph data from various weather stations around the world, and then putting those data on a StoryMap. And then in the StoryMap, text boxes, including various information about why certain climographs were shaped a certain way, which then brings us to today's lesson, which is the final exam project. So instead of having exams in class, obviously all the exams and quizzes are in open format. And you know, so the assumption is, oh, you know, the students are going to be cheating rampantly, and they're going to be, it's going to be awful. They're all going to get A's, because no. If you design an assessment correctly, the students will not be able to cheat their way through. And if my students were cheating, they really need to step the cheating game up, you know, given some of the grades I've seen. So, you know, so it's possible. Students aren't inherently dishonest, you know, and there are ways to put checks on students cheating. And I tell students, you know, we're going to catch you, especially when you cheat. And I get 10 people turn in an assignment, all the answers are the same, and half of them are wrong. You know, that means you didn't even look. You just got the answers. You didn't even look at the answers. You did no vetting. You just took so-and-so's answers, put them on your quiz, and submitted them, and half of them were wrong. I'm like, look, if you're going to cheat, get the right answers. If you decide to cheat, and we don't cheat at Tennessee State University. And by the way, I forgot, we are at Tennessee State University, historically Black college and university with about 8,000 students, located in Nashville, Tennessee, founded in 1912. The president is also an TSU alum, Dr. Glenda Glovers. So I point that out. Our dean is Dr. Samantha Morgan Curtis, dean of the College of Arts and Sciences. So I had to put that out there. Okay, let's get to work now. Enough of the preliminary stuff. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we are going to work as far through this final exam project in a project-based learning environment as we can. And I tell my students, look, in this day and age, the word of the day is patience. Be patient. Things are going to go wrong. It's going to happen in this hybrid environment. Hopefully we won't have any glitches today. Now I'm going to look into my Dropbox now and see what I know nobody actually finished this already. No, of course not. Okay, so that means I'm going to have to call on some of my wonderful students. Let's see, who should I? Let's see, who should I call today? Who should I call? Well, let me try to get some volunteers first. Okay, students. Did anyone? Well, let me just go through the assignment. So for this assignment, the students are tasked with first collecting data from various countries with regard to population structure in the format of what are called population pyramids. And so this course is divided up into 3 units. The first unit is North America, which is US and Canada. The second unit is Mexico and Latin America and the Caribbean. And the final unit is Russia and neighboring countries. And so with this exercise, it somewhat blends the last 2 units. So the students are going to, for their final exam, compile data from 3 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, and 3 from amongst the Russia and neighboring countries, the former USSR. So, which a lot of these students aren't old enough to remember. It's just time just goes by, right? So, so the plan is find 6 countries that fit within these GNI PPP per person ranges, and which they obtained from the World Population Data Sheet. And one of the things that I emphasize in this class, especially for freshmen, is we don't just Google stuff in here. You know, Google is not a reference source, and it's hard to detoxify these students from Google, but we have to do it. You know, we have to do it. And so any data that we obtain for our assignments has to come from somewhere, even if I provide the reference source. In this case, it's the World Population Data Sheet, and then they will go to this. Now we're taking the easy way out a little bit. I'll allow them to go to the CIA World Factbook to get the population pyramids, although I did create a method. I'm sure some of you all have done this. There is a way to make population pyramids using Excel, Microsoft Excel, which I really, I'm getting soft in my old age, So normally I would make them use Excel to do the population pyramids. I didn't. I did, for extra credit, provide the opportunity for students to use Excel to make climate graphs, and a couple of students did go through and do that instead of just getting the climate graphs from climatedata.net. And I will put the link to this assignment in the chat at some point if I can remember. Okay. So the plan is for students to get the population graphs, and then go into, so here's the instructions for getting the population graphs from the CIA World Factbook site, simply a JPEG. And then next, they go through the process of adding the JPEGs to the StoryMap. And then in the text box on the StoryMap, they have to answer these questions. Is a relationship between countries GNI PPP per person and their population structure, consider life expectancy, blah, blah, blah. is a relationship between the fertility rates. So I'm asking them to look at the population structure and then discuss or describe what they see or how total fertility might be affecting those population structures. And we might talk about that if we have. Okay, let's get started. Okay. Hopefully we'll get some volunteers. I know the students have been through a lot this semester, you know, they go through a lot every semester, but this semester they've hung in there. It's been rough. It's been an adventure. It's been unpredictable, but they've hung in there to the end. Today is our last day of class. This is it for us. And then we don't even get anywhere near Thanksgiving holiday before the classes end. But this is finals week this week. So instead of giving a traditional exam, they get to do this project. Okay, let me see who I said I was going to pick on. Okay, I'll ask for a volunteer. Is there any student out there who has already selected his or her 6 countries? Anyone? Megan, have you selected any of your countries?
No, sir, I haven't.
Chris Williams?
Hello?
Oh, sir.
Yeah, this class is special. We have a Christopher Williams, maybe he's Christian Williams. Chris Williams and a Tyrese. Tyrese, you select any of your countries yet?
Not yet.
I'm about to tap out here. All right. Okay, so we're gonna walk through this. Looks like I'm gonna do a demo. Okay, so I'm gonna demonstrate this. I'm gonna pretend to be a student. And so we're gonna walk through this as a demonstration. So let's see, I'm gonna try to make this as interactive as possible. So we go to the, wait a minute, there's something in the chat. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna go back to student view. And when I go through the process, thinking, how can I get these students involved in this? I'm not going to be the only one talking today. Let's see. Okay, final exam. Okay, here's the World Population Data Sheet 2021, hot off the presses. So here's our data source for GNI PPP per person, and I'm going to have to make this larger. Okay, so make this interactive. So this is the World Population Data Sheet. It's a really good resource for getting data on countries from all over the world. And let's see here. Oh, there it is. Ooh. Yeah, they shifted this all around. Now it's in the last column. So I'm going to ask some questions here. And remember that class participation grade? Oh, this is where it counts. You know, we have company. Remember when your parents have company, you got to behave. You got to be on your best behavior when the company's over the house. Now, I don't know. Maybe in my household, you got these new jack parents today. Timeouts, second chances. Okay, so I'm just gonna see, who can I call on here? Megan Grisham. Can you give me a quick definition of what the GNI PPP per capita is? What does it measure? What is it an indicator of about a country? just in the simplest terms possible, what does a GNI PPP per capita say about a country? It's a measure of its what? Okay, anybody? Here comes Megan. Megan's back. Okay, yes.
Sorry, isn't it like, for some reason I want to say it's like gross, like national income or like per capita.
Okay, it's a
I don't know.
measure of a country's, it starts with the letter W.
It's like the current
Somebody, I heard it out
international.
there. Was that a student or one of my guests chiming in? I heard it. A measure of what?
Well,
Wealth? Yes, it's just a measure of a country's wealth. How wealthy is this country versus others in the world? That's all it is, measured in dollars. Essentially, it's how many dollars does a country have to go around each person in the country. That's all it really is. So that's not the only way that we measure wealth, but it is the one that's most easily recognized. Okay, so now let's navigate this population data sheet. And so this is what you're going to have to do. So we have South America, Caribbean, blah, blah, blah. And so our criteria, one country must have a GNI PPP per person from $0 to $6,000 per year. Okay, I'm gonna get you students involved. Can anybody, first of all, if you've downloaded this sheet, I'm sure you're looking at it right now. Can anybody give me a country that's either in the Commonwealth of Independent States or Latin America and the Caribbean that has a GNI PPP per person of $0 to $6,000? Anybody?
Haiti has a GNI PPP of 2,930.
Okay. Say that one again, Chris Payne.
2,930.
Okay, well, there's country number one. Okay, let me just say this. Please pick your own countries. You know, don't let me see everybody on the exam. I see the exact same countries that we picked here. Don't do that. Just pick your own countries. That'll and even though for this lowest income, the lower income might be difficult. Okay, so now our next country, remember, they have to be either from Mexico, Latin America, and the Caribbean, or from Russian neighboring countries, but we have to have a total of 6, 3 from each region. So is there a country that is from $6,001 to $10,000?
Uzbekistan, it's 7,350.
So what was that again?
Uzbekistan,
Oh, one more time.
Uzbekistan, Uzbek.
Oh, Uzbekistan. Okay.
Yes. $7,350. 300, not 200.
7,000.
350.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so now we have one from each region. Okay, next, anyone? Oh, the next one is from $10,000 to $13,000. Anybody?
Maybe Colombia.
Who is that? Is that Chris Payne?
No, it's Jerry.
Oh, Jerry Bailey?
Yeah. You
And
said 13 to 20, right?
yeah, between $10,000 to $13,000.
Oh, never mind. That's the next one. I'm sorry. I got a headache. Colombia is 15.
Okay. Well, we can
Could it be Guatemala?
okay. I don't know. Am I actually spelling these correctly? Who is that? Yes, keep going.
Oh, it's $8,690.
You said $8,690? No, this one has to be between 10,001 to 13,000. But just keep that in mind for your own exam. That'll fit into the other category. All right. So this next one has to be between $10,000 and $13,000. Now, if there are none, then we'll just have to make some adjustments on the fly here.
Dominica,
Excuse me?
Dominica,
Say that one more time.
Dominica.
Dominica?
Yeah.
Ah. And what is it?
10,740.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so Columbia, so, okay, now next we're up to $13,000 to $20,000 per year.
Barbados,
Who was that?
Orlando, but it's Barbados, yeah. The $13,010.
Oops. See how. Okay, now we're up to $20,000 to $25,000 per year.
Argentina.
Okay, Argentina. Wait a minute, let's see, we've got one. We already have 3 countries from Latin America and the Caribbean. So these last 2 have to come from so is there a country in Russia and neighboring countries that's between 20,000 and I'm sure there has to be.
Would Kazakhstan be one?
Okay. Oh, yes.
It's 24,380.
Spelled that wrong. There's an I in there. There's an H here. No. What was that again?
That was Megan.
No, the
24,380.
24,000. Where am I going wrong here? So just look on the table. There's an H in there. That's what it is. That's what H is. I was on a roll with these spellings. There we go. Wait a minute. That's the, jeez. C-A, oh, okay, I see what I did. There we go. All right, and last but certainly not least, $25,001 and above.
Would Germany work?
No, that's outside of our chapter 4 countries.
Will Panama work?
Panama?
Mhm.
No, we need one more country from Russia and neighboring countries.
Russia.
Would Denmark work?
No, that's outside. Who said Russia?
I said Russia.
Russia, and what is that GNI PPP?
27,550.
Okay, so while we're here, so we have our 6 countries, but while we're here, I just want anybody to look up the GNI PPP for the United States and just tell me what it is. Tell all of us what it is. For the United States, what is our GNI? This is just as a frame of reference.
21.59 trillion PPP dollars.
Wait, what? No.
What is that?
No, this is the GNI PPP per person. We wish it was $29 trillion.
It says 66,000.
Yeah,
That's right.
66,000, just straight up. 66,000 and
60.
66,060.
Yep.
Okay, so I just wanted to do that because we have to look at this in context. Now, I don't know how much you all know about the former Soviet Union, but it was the world's last superpower. Okay, it was the other country that was battling for world dominance with the United States of America, and Russia was the central country to the former Soviet Union. Would you expect for Russia to have a higher GNI PPP per person than that, a figure that is less than half of our wealth? Is that surprising? Maybe the USSR was so long ago, you just don't remember the whole Cold War thing. But yeah, you would expect for a country that at one time was part of a country that was one of the 2 most dominant nations in the world to have more wealth than that. Wouldn't you expect that country to have more wealth than that? Than half of ours? Less than half. Not surprised? Okay. Well, let's do this. Somebody give me the GNI PPP for Cuba.
It's not listed on the document.
Oh, it's not? Oh, wow. Well, you see the CIA World Fact Book? This is what happens. Thank you. So you have to resist the temptation to Google. So I'm gonna go here. And so sometimes we have to use alternative information sources. And CIA World Fact Book, countries, C, Cuba. Boom. And let's see here. Economy. And so this is basically the same number, not exactly, but basically the same. Let's just paste that in there. This is just for reference, just so that we're not, okay. So the United States has more than 5 times the wealth of Cuba. Okay, can anyone tell me what is infant mortality? What is the definition of infant mortality? Anybody? Not
The
anybody.
survival of infants.
Not quite. One of our guests could definitely answer this question, but she's not going to do that.
The number of infant deaths.
What is an infant? When you say infant, how old is it? How old is an infant?
Before the first birthday.
Okay, so when a child, it's the number of children per 1,000 births who pass away before they're a year old. Very sad situation, obviously. Can anybody give me that number for the United States? You'll get that out of the Population Reference Bureau. What's that number per 1,000? It's in the Population Reference Bureau data sheet.
$5.4.
Okay, United States 5.4 per 1,000, right? What about for Cuba? What about for Cuba?
4.9.
Say that number again.
4.9.
Okay, now I know several of you in here are like yawning, but you have to be surprised by this. Is anybody surprised by this? That the infant mortality rate in Cuba, a country that has only less than 1/5 of the wealth of the United States, has a lower infant mortality rate? Anybody
Yes.
surprised by that?
Yes.
Yeah. So I might, since Dr. Johnson posted in the chat, I might put her on the spot here. Dr. Johnson?
Yes, I'm finding all this very interesting.
Yes, so Dr. Claire Johnson is a OBGYN who is, how many countries have you been to?
I have been to 100 countries, all continents, and I'm particularly interested in geo arbitrage, finding countries where having the strong US dollar, you can live outside of the US for a far less cost. And so, especially when you talked about like the Russian area, I spent some time in the Republic of Georgia. I'm interested in the stands. Anyway, but the infant mortality rate, it is fascinating. It's unfortunate. I can tell you instances, there was even this year, there was I mean, there's many stories, but there was a African-American pediatrician who died in childbirth this year in the United States. There's still a lot of bias. Yes, we do have great technology and medical advances, but it is shocking. Look at those numbers. It's shocking that we would have a higher infant mortality rate.
Yeah, so thank you. Dr. Johnson has worked as an OBGYN literally all over the world. And so, and part of her work is, of course, to lower these rates. And so, yeah, so I guess this is in part showing us that monetary wealth does not necessarily translate into other forms of wealth, such as health.
Right.
So we
actually, I misspoke, because we have a high, not only infant mortality rate, but maternal mortality. When I was talking about the pediatrician who passed away, African-American, that we still have a significantly high maternal mortality rate too, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, that's another number where we have great disparities in the United States.
And
is, you know,
huge disparities in the African-American population.
yeah, with, African-American women passing away, and not just, poor African-American, low-income
No,
African-American women,
biases.
just across
Yeah,
the board.
Significant racial biases when it comes to Serena Williams has her own story of being misdiagnosed with when she had postpartum pulmonary embolism. I mean, she almost died. So yeah, a lot of, and it covers all socioeconomic backgrounds. It's a huge racial disparity.
And also, Allison Felix also.
Right, yeah. Different story, but yeah, absolutely bias with Allison Felix.
Okay, so now we're going to look at another number. Then we'll move on to the actual mapping. Okay, can someone give me Costa Rica's GNI PPP per person? Thank you, Dr. Grove / Johnson Grove. Can anyone give me Costa Rica's GNI PPP per person?
It's 19,840.
19,840. And can anybody give me the life expectancy for the average life? Well, give me the male and female life expectancy for the United States, and then for Costa Rica. Well, give me male, female, and I guess overall. We'll do the same thing for Costa Rica.
For Costa Rica, the life expectancy for males is 78.
78.
And then for females, it's 83.
And what's the overall average? Just
81.
81. What about for the United States?
For the males, it's 75. And for the females, it's 80. And then the total is 77.
So life expectancy is obviously how old a person within a population is expected to live after birth, how many years. Costa Rica, country in Central America, less than a third of the wealth of the United States, but women, men, women overall, 3 more years on average. Well, their life expectancy is higher. Would you expect that? A relatively moderate income country in Central America to have a higher, people on average live longer in that country than the United States? Is that surprising to you? If you just looking at the wealth.
Well, the United States food is what's killing us.
No, actually, it's not how much money you have, it's what you do with that money, right? Isn't that correct, students? So for instance, these professional athletes, I can speak specifically for the NFL. Did you know that 80% of them are bankrupt after they stop playing? 80%, all that money. But and they're trying to do better. They, meaning the NFL teams, are trying to do better with that. But a lot of these players come from situations where they had no money. Nobody in their family had any money. So it's not so much that they went out and bought cars and jewelry and went broke. Take somebody like Michael Irvin. You see Michael Irvin on TV every week. Michael Irvin is he has 11 siblings. And at one point he was like the main provider for his entire family. And you make $1 million a year, whatever, that you split that 11 ways, you end up with not a whole lot of money. You know, so sometimes some of the athletes go broke because of that, because they're just trying to take care of mama, take care of grandmama, take care of, you know, my sister and them and everybody, just trying to spread all that money around. After a while, it runs out. So it's not what you have, you know, it's, you know, what do you do with your money? Now I'm going to ask two questions. I don't know, maybe you heard this, maybe you didn't. What is it that Cuba has that the United States doesn't have that might impact the health of its citizens? What is it that Cuba has that the United States doesn't have? Maybe you've heard about it. What's that?
Free healthcare, maybe?
Yes, exactly. Universal healthcare. You know, we don't have that in this country. Do you know what the #1 reason for bankruptcy is in the United States? People go broke.
Health.
Yeah, health, medical bills. Isn't that, and sometimes you have no control over that. You know, you have no control over a drunk driver smashing into you on the highway and you wind up in the hospital for 6 months. You have no control over that. And yet your life, you can be financially ruined, even if you have health insurance in some cases. Okay, so yes, just want you to think about this a little bit. You know, as wealthy a country as we are, you know, we still don't have all the answers. You know, money can't solve every problem, you know. What about Costa Rica? What is it that the United States has that Costa Rica does not have? This one's a hard one. I'll give you maybe 30 seconds. Okay, I'll give you a clue. Out of our federal budget, you always hear,
has a call holding. Text services.
excuse me? Okay, out of the federal budget, out of the entire budget of the United States, most of the money goes where?
The Army.
Goes to the military. What does Costa Rica not have?
They don't have a military force, an army, a navy, or anything like that.
Yeah, Costa Rica has no military. So instead of spending their money on guns and weapons and bombs and various ways to kill people, Costa Rica spends its money on healthcare, building people's lives up. Of always, Costa Rica's kind of on my bucket list. I haven't been there yet. I shouldn't even bother to ask this. Dr. Johnson, you've been to Costa Rica, right? I'm sure, of course you have.
Yes, I've been there.
So is it really compared to the United States? I mean, no place is a utopia, but I mean, can you feel the difference in terms of?
Yes, I would say, you know, a lot of very like first world nations, Japan, United States, we have such, we are wealthy in so many ways. We are time poor. We spend so much time stressing. There's a, you know, much higher level of stress and demand. So there is this pura vida life. There are less worries. There's definitely less consumerism. And yeah, you definitely feel the difference.
Dr. Padgett, if I can add, I had an opportunity to study.
Oh, who's speaking?
This is Jackie Flemings.
Yeah. Good morning, Dr. Fleming.
Good morning. Thank you. I had an opportunity to study in Costa Rica many years ago for about 10 months. And it was real interesting. I did a study on guidance and counseling in Costa Rica. At the time that I was there, they were just starting it up. But one of the things I wanted to just add is that they put a big emphasis on education and family, and eating and walking and exercise and peace and resting, and also health. So you find there that a lot of the people live way beyond 80 and 90. And I even met a couple of people that were very close to 100. And that's because the lifestyle, they don't believe in a lot of stress. A lot of people don't own cars. They ride the public transportation, which is pretty reliable in the city. So it's a totally different lifestyle. And a lot of Americans go to Costa Rica and retire and live very, 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 very well. So I'll talk to you about that some other time.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to talk because, you know, if this next election doesn't go the way it should, we definitely gonna have to talk. You know?
Okay. Okay.
I might be,
Okay.
brush up on my Spanish.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Fleming. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Just wanted us to kind of think about things a little bit when we start to look at these numbers, like what do they mean? What's this really about? Why do we even collect this data? Well, that's why, because, you know, there are ways to do things to make our quality of life better that are borne out in some of these numbers. Okay, so next, we're gonna go to this CIA World Factbook. I think I already have it open. And I'm gonna show you how to get these population graphs. And like I said, I gave you the easy way out. So let's see, our countries are Haiti. So we go here, boom, see how fast we can do this. Boom, boom, boom. And then the population graph, people in society, and the population graph should be right there. So here's a population graph. And click on that, there it is. And wow, they've changed this a little bit. This is good because they kind of give you a description and tell you exactly why. You get a little bit of a hint. This is neat, this is new. This is new, like this is new. At first, the population pyramid would just be here with no explanation of what's happening here. And so if you notice that, okay, well, students, in terms of fertility rate, well, first of all, what is the fertility, students, guess, I know my guess on the answers. Students, what is the total fertility rate for a country? Just, if you don't know the official definition, just something in the chat here. Total fertility rate.
The average number of births
Per
woman.
Per woman. They're working on getting us pregnant, Chris. They're working on it, but not yet. Yeah, so that's very important, you know. So this is a fertility. The fertility rate is an indicator that is very gender specific, obviously, and it is an indicator of growth, and so it's also an indicator of the status of women within a population in some cases. It's influenced by religion and culture. In some cases, obviously, this was on the news this morning. You know, if you look at nations that are predominantly Catholic or predominantly of the Islamic faith, they tend to have higher fertility rates for that reason. If you have countries that emphasize education for all all genders along the spectrum, but we're speaking specifically of male versus female. You know, those countries tend to have lower fertility rates, such as ours, for instance. So if you look at this population pyramid for Haiti, would you say that it has a relatively high fertility rate or relatively low fertility rate? Just looking at the shape of the population, right? Any of the students, it's one or the other, high or low? High, a high, maybe, okay, maybe the numbers, I don't know. Okay, there are parts of the world, mostly in Africa, where the fertility rates are as high as 6. In other words, the average woman has 6 children in some countries, especially in Western Africa. I can't think of any off the top of my head, maybe Uganda, perhaps. Definitely, perhaps Sudan. But the United States, we're at about 1.9. Average woman has less than 2 children on average in this country. And then, of course, Then there's other areas. There are places that are even lower, that very low fertility rates. So, okay, let me just ask this question. We've been comparing places to the United States. Just looking at this population graph, do you think that Haiti has a higher or lower fertility rate than the United States? I'll just make it easy.
Lower.
Lower?
Higher.
Remember?
I'm sorry, a higher.
Yes, it's higher. You know, more women having, and there are a variety of reasons for that. Again, some degree wealth, access to birth control. I mean, if people can't afford birth control, not people, well, you know, pregnancy will happen. Children will be born, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you get your population pyramid. I'm giving away too much here. Y'all are jotting this down. That was the answer to number 3. Let me see. Oh, okay. This is new. They just changed this. Let me see if we can just get the image. Oh, okay. If you click on that little icon, you get the image itself without all the extra. And then I guess we can do this here, save image as, boom. And I'm going to call this folder here. Exam project, and I'm going to call this okay. So there's a Haiti population pyramid, and I'm going to get one from. Let's do this. I'll get one from. Way too much. Let's see, and let's get a country from. Let's look at. Let's see, we've got. Let's do Russia. Let's look at Russia. Russia, boom. Scroll down, people in society, population pyramid, and then we're gonna get the image. Russia, that's very interesting. That's odd shaped population pyramid there. Notice that when we get into these younger age groups, there's an abrupt drop off. If you notice that. So in some cases, you might say that having less children, so you have less children here. Notice you know, all these people here in the older age groups, and when you get to the younger age groups, children less and less. Okay, so on one hand, you might say that having less children is a good thing because there's less mouths to feed, right? Russia only has a GNI per person of $27,000 some dollars per year. Maybe that's a good thing. Why might it be a bad thing to have less young people?
The population won't grow.
Okay. Is there something else that might be affected by less young people?
The jobs.
Yeah, that you know, exactly. In part, that might be what's happening right now. You notice that all these places, retail, service industry, a lot of these businesses that are struggling to find employees, those are jobs that young people have. And if you were to look at the United States population graph, once we start to get into Generation Z, and that's a lot of you all, if you're maybe 22, 23 years of age and younger, you're in Generation Z, you're not a millennial. Millennials are older than you all are. But one characteristic of Generation Z is that there's less and less and less of you. And it doesn't take much, doesn't take a lot of shrinkage to really send shockwaves across the system. Now, there are other variables involved, obviously. People are just scared to go back to work, period. But a lot of these jobs that have been lost through, well, a lot of these jobs that people can't fill right now are jobs that young people would normally fill. Retail, service, transportation, you know, a lot of those are younger people's jobs, and we're going through constriction. I mean, for those of you who are planning on being teachers, it's going to affect you all, because if there's less and less kids, guess what? We're going to need less teachers, right? So you can't just be, you can't assume, well, I'm gonna get this degree and I'm gonna be a teacher. I know I'm gonna get a job. I can go anywhere. Maybe, maybe not. You know, maybe, maybe not, because there's gonna be less and less kids. We went through the same thing with Generation X. So we had the baby boomers, and then there was Generation X, which was another constriction in terms of population. And what happened to people in Generation X was a baby boomer would retire, right? Maybe 2 baby boomers would retire, but they only be enough of a population for 1 Generation Xer to replace them. So Gen X found themselves taking jobs where they had the responsibilities of 2 people. And so a lot of Gen Xers got burnt out because they had to take on that burden, because there just simply were not enough people to replace the baby boomers. And so now what's happening is we just don't have enough Generation Z people to replace the millennials. They're not really retiring, but they're moving on, they're being promoted, they're going into management, maybe they're just leaving the workforce for a variety of reasons. And that's, like I said, this demographics is just one of the issues, of course, that's involved. A lot of people are just quitting their jobs for a variety of reasons. I mean, they had a chance during the pandemic to think about, you know, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I quit. I'm gonna do something else. I'm gonna start that business I always wanted to start. I'm gonna write that book. I'm gonna quit and go to Costa Rica and never come back. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are being introspective now. And so these are some of the things to think about when you look at your population graphs. That's interesting. Okay, so you get your population period Russian. Save it, I thought I saved. See, where did I put this Haiti population? Ah, man. Put it in paint. I thought I put it in that exam folder. Oh, it's not where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be in here. It isn't there. What's going on here? Okay, so we're almost at the finish line. So I'm just going to get 2 population graphs here. Now, of course, next we have fun with Flickr. And we've done this before. Log into your Flickr account and get ready for an adventure. Remember Flickr? So again, this is very similar to what we did earlier. Hit that button. Okay, back to Flickr. And so, of course, just go through the process of uploading maps to Flickr. Population graphs to Flickr. Boom, boom. 1 and a 2. Open them up. And then add to albums. I'm gonna add these to my Geography 1010 album. So if you've already created an album in Flickr, this step is going to be reasonably easy. So got those population pyramids in Flickr. Next, we go back to the instructions. So here are all the instructions for getting the population pyramid. Blah blah blah. Oh darn it. Okay. Geez. So for each country, you're going to have to calculate the doubling time. And so the doubling time is an easier way of visualizing population growth. So let's go back to the population data sheet. And so the value that we're going to use one value that we use to measure population growth is the rate of natural increase. Okay, so if you notice the rate of natural increase for these countries, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, et cetera, ranges between 1.4, 1.8, 2.4, and 2%. So good, we have Uzbekistan. This is going to be really convenient. So let's say Uzbekistan has a rate of natural increase is 2%. Okay, now, if you were to look at that number, Uzbekistan is growing at a rate of 2% per year. On face, you might think, oh, okay, well, so what? You know, what does that mean, really? It might not really mean anything that would give you a sense of urgency because it's only 2%. But if we look at it another way, we calculate the, and this is just a mathematical trick. So we take 70, just the number 70, divide into it the rate of natural increase, and we get 35 years. Okay, it's just a math trick. The actual formula for calculating the doubling time is much more complicated, and we're not going to put you through that. But this gets you approximately the same answer. So Uzbekistan is growing at 2% per year, but at that rate, its population will double in only 35 years. Now, I know that if you're 18, if you're 19, if you're 20, 35 years seems like a long time, but it really isn't. Is 35 years enough time for a country to have twice as much food, twice as many hospitals, twice as many schools, twice as much medicine? Is 35 years enough time to really do that? Not really, not really. Especially a country that only has a GNI PPP of $7,350 per person per year, compared to our 66,000. So now I know that we've talked about countries having low income and being engaged in innovations and so on and so forth, but still, 35 years is not a lot of time to prepare. Okay, so if it's 2021 now, and the date at which, so it's 2021 now, plus 35, which means this country's population expected to double by 2056. Not a whole lot of time. Twice as many people by 2056. So you should do this for each of your countries. And then you will include, I included the calculations here, and included in the captions on your story map when you get to the story map.
Mr. President, can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
For the CIA World Fact Book and then the world population data, they both have different growth rates on each other. Which one would you look at?
Say that one more time.
The CIA Fact Book, World Fact Book, has a different growth rate than the world population data.
Yeah, that might be taken at a different time. You can use either one, but just be consistent. If data is missing from the population reference bureau sheet, then use the CIA World Factbook as your reference. But if you can get all of them from one source, just do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. But no Googling. No Googling. All right, between those two sources, you should have everything. Okay, and there is another source that I have included here. If you really want to get adventurous, there's the Census International Database, which is a really neat resource. And this is when you start to write your captions. All right, so let's get into that part. 9 minutes. All right, we can do this. 9 minutes. It's the promised land. Okay, so next you've got, let's say you have all 6 of your population graphs. You've calculated your doubling times. Now, of course, you go to ArcGIS Online. Just sign in. Just sign in. Don't do anything other than that. And then you'll go to this StoryMaps site. Come on now. We don't want to go there. Then go to the StoryMap site. And then go to create story. And this is all in the instructions. You want to do a map tour. And when you get here, like I said, well, I guess you can't do anything yet. Go here. See HBCU GIS group. I think that's my username. Choose Geography 1010. Okay. Houston, we have a problem. All right. Let me pause my record for just a second. All right, resume recording. I actually remember to do that today. It's a good day. Back into, God, come on. Stop my share for just 1 second. StoryMap. Screen. Okay. All right, map tour. And we're gonna try this again. And this is exactly the same thing that you did for the climate graphs project. So this shouldn't be new, except it's just different data. Oh, there it is. 6, import. And now we have now this really challenges our geographic knowledge, because you have to kind of find. Now in this case, because it's not really a city, it's a whole country, you can place the graph anywhere in the country. Boom, import, and away we go. And again, like I said, the best, to me, the best layout is 3-panel. It's a lot neater. And so now we can go in and edit. And so when you type your information into, let me look in the chat here. Okay. While I'm thinking about it. This is risky. risky, 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 risky. The recording, oh good, the recording will be on my Facebook page for those of you. So here's my link to my Facebook page. So the recording to this will be on my Facebook page here, maybe today. It'll be posted as usual in the class space. I just wanted to remember that before I moved on. Now I'm just all over the place. Let's see. Back to the story map. Ah, come on. This is so frustrating. Okay, I did that already. Okay, here we are. So of course, then we want to type in the pertinent information into this text box for each country. About the shape of its population pyramid. You might want to add data in answer to the various questions. And so what should go into each of those text boxes is, of course, the doubling time for each country. And you should just add just anything about these questions. You know, you might say, well, let me just, in the last 2 minutes here, and this is a difficult question. How does wealth impact population structure? That's going to vary by country. Okay, in our country, our population structure is such that we have less children and lower fertility rates because our wealth provides greater opportunities specifically for women in the workforce. And so there's, women get into the workforce, they become more educated, and therefore they have less children. In other parts of the world where there is less opportunity, especially for women, then they tend to be in the traditional roles, have children very young as 14, 15, and 16, which is not teen pregnancy. That's just when women get pregnant in other parts of the world. The earlier you start out as a woman having children, chances are the more children you'll have. Religion, how does religion impact age sex diagrams? You'll have to research your country. So let me just very quickly, what is the dominant religious faith in Uzbekistan? Anybody? It looks like you have some work to do as you prepare for your final exam. So when you type in your, and again, if I were you, I would type my responses to these questions, maybe beneath the, I think I asked you, maybe on this sheet, because this sheet you will have to upload to the Dropbox. So maybe in this space, type your 100-word summaries first, and then copy and paste them into the dialog boxes on the StoryMap second. That way you'll have it without running the risk of losing it on your StoryMap. And of course, remember when you're in your StoryMap, hit this save button. Anything you do, hit that save button, okay? And then make sure that your share settings are public. Hit that share publicly button. And then that way I'll be able to see it. So it is, and this is the link that you paste into your document. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us, to our guests. We're going to pick it up again, another class in about 10 minutes. Thanks for our guests for coming. I'm sure you saw how wonderful our students are here at Tennessee State University. How they chimed in, even under very difficult circumstances during this pandemic. This is project-based learning using geographic information systems. Again, I don't have all the answers, but hopefully we will figure out how to teach with GIS as effectively as possible as we move forward. Yes, Chris Payne.
So for the last assignment that was very similar to this one, whenever I tried to submit my document, it said that the file was too large. And I ended up having to like screenshot every page of my document for it to actually fit. Is that fine if I do it again for this one?
Well, just email me the original document from last time. And then if it happens again with this one, just let me know and then email me. But let me know first and then email me. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
All right. You all have a safe rest of the year and Happy New Year and all of that. It's been a pleasure.
You too. Thank you.
If you have any questions, let me know. Okay? Don't just, this is 100 points. This might get you to that 450.
I have a question.
Yes.
It's for the teachers, final. In the beginning, is the 29 supposed to be at D? Because 29 is not the surface temperature.
Yeah, you have the surface temperature, which you have the ambient temperature, which is in degrees Celsius. And then you have the surface temperature, which was taken in degrees Fahrenheit, but you have to convert it to Celsius.
Right, but we put 29, but 29 was not the surface temperature.
Yeah, well, put the data that's on you have your data sheets, correct?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, put the data that's on your sheet. I mean, I was just doing a demonstration in class, so don't worry about what I was doing. I was just demonstrating. But you take your data from your sheet, that's what you enter. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Just let me know if you have any.
Are we supposed to answer B?
B as in boy? Yes, who was that?
Me, Jeanette.
Oh, are we supposed to answer?
B as in boy.
Just contact me. I have another class like in 6
Oh,
minutes.
I'm sorry.
Just text me, call me, whatever. Okay. Thanks for coming, everybody. This is GIS Day at Tennessee State University, and we will continue in the other class in about 6 minutes if I can get there. Recording will be on my Facebook page by Friday.